I'd like to open the meetings for the Carver Conservation Commission for July 18th. Our first order of business is some appointments, discussions, and the first one is with Mr. Steve Murphy from 26 South Main Street. This chair is the wrong size. I don't know what that was going on.
Come on up and sign in, please.
Sign in, please, Mr. Murphy.
I'm sorry.
Yes, no, that's good. That's good.
This is a letter. You wanna go up?
Thank you.
Maybe you sit in the big chair.
Like a midget.
Gee, couldn't handle it.
That better?
Much better.
Just a little short there.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say, or evening, whatever it is.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Murphy, you know what you're here for? Because I'm not sure. So you should speak.
Well, it's the driveway. I have a pre-existing driveway. We spoke about it, had an on-site meeting after some trees fell on my property. And at that time, I didn't think there was an issue, but I guess they were requesting that I should have came in front of the board for permission to repave the driveway. So I guess that's what was the issue. So I spoke with Brooke on the phone, and she said, come in the meeting.
26. That's 26 South Main.
It's the Larches Inn, 26 South Main
Yeah.
Street.
Okay. So Brooke, what did we find?
Well, I
I'm
just
really
went by
involved
and
in
I
this,
saw
unfortunately.
the work
Right.
being done, and I didn't know that it was gonna be done, and so I kinda, I said, well, we probably should have been notified, because there's that
Yeah.
stream that comes in from the street. And he ripped up the old driveway, so that's an activity, so, you know, theoretically, that's something we sort of
Should
need
be
to know
advised.
about.
In a situation like this, where there's a lot of work going on, and you're close to the wetlands and the brook line there next to it, and of course the wetlands out on the lakefront and so on, I ask you to please just, every time you blink, just check with Brooke.
Well, I'm just gonna, there was a meeting on property, and we did speak about multiple things. Some trees had fallen over in the storm.
Yeah. we can do that.
I called Brooke. I asked them to come down and take a site view of it and explain everything that was going on. And we rectified that by the meeting, and they said I could go ahead and remove, there was a few stumps and some trees, which was done. And at the time, Brooke, after speaking with her, I did speak about the driveway, because if you've gone by my property, we are trying to improve on it, and the water is shedding off of Route 58 into my front of the driveway, into the yard, so it floods out. So at that time, I did speak with, I don't know the younger gentleman at the time. Savory was there and a few other, Brooke was there, and then there was a younger gentleman that's, I don't know his name, so I apologize, Jim. And he said to me, well, you could call the state and have them come down and fix the road. And I said, well, I want to have it done sometime this year. And you know the process with the state, how long it's going to take for them to come. So I explained, and Jim was there also, and I explained, I said, I'm just going to replace the driveway and have it pitched so the water won't, come into the front yard and flood it out. Because by the time I waited for them, of course, it's going to be 2 years, and they're not going to tear 58 up to change that. So that's the reason I didn't come in at that point, due to the fact that I thought we had discussed it, and there was no yay or nay or come and see us, so.
I mean, I remember discussing the shedding from the
Yeah.
road. I don't remember the repaving
Yeah,
part,
and
but
I'm not, and Brooke really wasn't, and I'm gonna, for Brooke's defense, she wasn't, I was talking with Jim, is it, not Jim, what's his name, I'm sorry?
Oh, okay.
JP.
JP.
Okay, so we
Unfortunately,
were
he's not
speaking
here.
about that, so, at that time, so, that's why I didn't come in, I didn't think we were doing anything wrong. We actually came in and had the driveway ground and left right in the same spot, so we didn't bring any other material in until we had to do, kind of like a cease and desist, and then then Gene from Plimpton Paving came in and just bought him some hard packs so we wouldn't have any runoff, and that was all that was done. So I think, Tim, did you come on the
Spoke with your
property
wife.
that day?
I
Was that?
spoke with your wife.
And then you spoke with Gene, right?
Morning, yes.
Okay. So,
Um,
that was
and
it, so that's all we did, and then we stopped, just so we could drive on the property.
Well, do you want me to speak?
Well, no, the question that's come up several times in discussions is, where you're supposed to have plans, I think, from who was it,
Well, you had Joe Webby working on, remember?
working on plans, and
for
what,
stuff
what's
that you were gonna
happening there?
do?
Because we've
Why
had
don't
talk
you do me
about
a favor?
plans for
If you
8
could call
months.
Joe for me, that'd be great, because I've called him 4 times.
I could call.
And everyone is so busy, and I'm not trying to be,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny, but, you know,
We really can't proceed that far without, is this him in the back? Is that you, Joe?
No, it's.
No,
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 okay.
no.
so that was on another situation with the
Okay.
garden, which was, I wasn't privy to the stream at that time. I had just bought the property, we were doing some improvements. You guys came down and spoke with me, and I haven't done anything since in that area within the 65 feet. I know someone did a Google Earth on my property and said we're gonna mention something about a driveway. So we had done some measurements on it, and the driveway that was in there was 70 feet away from the wetlands, and that was done prior to the garden. So those,
You need a, sir, you need a compromised drawing of your property, a full topo of your property. Now, whether Mr. Webby is able to get that to you now or later, and I'm not trying to say, be funny about this, but that is not our responsibility.
it's not your responsibility, but it
It's
has
your
nothing to do with my
responsibility.
driveway. This
Sir,
is a different,
It is your
different,
responsibility to have the drawings brought to us and file for a notice of intent. I understand that you missed out because you, and I understand why you ground it up, so forth, but you still, when you work within the wetlands or within 65 feet of our town, any wetlands, you have to file, period. Now,
but what are we talking about? We talking about the garden, we talking about the driveway? Can you explain it to me?
driveway is within 65 feet.
Okay, but
of
what, but
wetlands.
you're bringing something, are you talking
No,
about the
I'm not.
driveway now?
I'm talking about the driveway right now, but that still has to be written up. You still have to file an RDA or an NOI. You still have to do that. You need the paperwork.
That's fine, and I spoke with Brooke, and I asked Brooke the other day when I spoke to Brooke, and I asked, do I have to come in with anything? Because if you're telling me now I have to do that,
Well-
now we put another week behind, we're gonna have more runoff and everything else. So tell me what you're looking for from me, so I can understand how to
Maps.
proceed.
We're looking for
Well,
the maps.
And we had discussed when we were there and we saw the garden, we had discussed that Steve was gonna, do an after-the-fact notice of intent
Right.
for that. And that was, I think that was kind of what you were waiting for Joe to do, and, you know, he didn't come up with that, but.
And I went down and seen Joe a while back, probably about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, at that point.
And I just figured we wanted that to include anything else you were gonna do, because that way, you know, you could put everything in it. You know, anything
Get it
else
on
you were
one
gonna
notice
do,
of intent, and we're done with
you know,
you.
near the pond or whatever, and everything would be included in that, and then we'd leave you alone. But.
No, and that's fine, I can proceed that way, but at the time when I spoke the other day, it was just, I could have been maybe 1 week ahead of myself if I knew, or someone had explained to me about the driveway.
Well, talking to you, Joe Webby, you're having a hard time getting a hold of him anyhow, so I don't know.
No,
if
it's just,
that
I
would-
mean, if you look around, there's a lot of building going on, so everyone is busy.
Yes, there is.
You know, if you have tried to hire a plumber lately or anything, it's hard to
See-
get anybody, so.
I guess what we're looking for here, sir, is your notice of intent on the driveway, but also all the other work you're doing down by the pond.
I'm not doing anything down by the pond.
According to my photographs, you got a deck down there,
No, the deck is pre-existing before I purchased the home, sir.
pre-existing non-conforming, the sidewalk going down there. A couple trees were taken down,
No, and that was showed for.
opening up the whole areas are opened up down here. You gotta file a notice of intent. File a notice of intent, and we'll be glad to help you out, but you gotta file a notice of intent.
And we've got to have those maps. Now,
And
whether you have
NOI.
to go and sit in Webby's office until he gets his butt in gear,
But we can't,
reduces them.
What-
We cannot function legitimately without mapping of this project.
and
So-
you know, I
That's all there's to it.
I understand.
But
where
again,
you're-
I wish I was
Sir,
told that a week
I understand where
ago.
you're coming from, I really do. And you can pave anything outside, anything outside 100 feet, because we have no jurisdiction over that. I know that you're digging up on the right side to put a driveway in down there. Put a driveway in down there and hold it. I'm trying to help you out here.
You-
You can't,
But it's, again.
if we let you do it, then we're running into this issue all over the place. We let you do it, then we're gonna run it with somebody else. We can't just arbitrarily say, well, you can do it and file later.
You have to see, my point, and what I'm trying to get across is when we were down on the site visit with the trees, I didn't have to call you guys, I did call you guys. But hear me out, let me speak. The trees fell down by Sampson's Pond. I never said anything, but I did tell Brooke. No one from your department went down there and looked at it, but they cleared them out, no problem. But I have to do it, so where does the line draw on what's good for the town and what's good for the homeowner, who is the taxpayer?
Okay, let me explain that to you. When the
Okay.
trees fall down, that's an emergency. You don't need to file an NOI, okay?
But
In
I-
case of emergency.
But I had to do a site visit.
You don't even, if it's an emergency, you can do an after the fact site visit, providing the trees fell down and caused damage or could cause damage. You do not, you can do it that way. Just, all you need is a phone call. That's all we need is a phone call, and we'll tell you to proceed. Brooks will tell you to proceed. If it's an endangerment to your property.
It was on a power line.
Okay, so that's an
But I still had
endangerment
to
to the
wait because
property.
Brooke
You get it
will
done.
stand for me on this. I had my tree guy come in and she asked me to wait for a site visit.
To take that tree down that was on the power line? I don't think so.
Yeah, there was one pushing against the power line at Pierre Cole's house. There was one across the stream. There was a couple down by the
ones near
pond.
the stream.
There was one
yeah.
by the stream and then the one right next to it, which was pushing on the line.
Those are the ones that we looked at.
We saw the ones by the
Yeah,
stream.
we
I
saw
was
the
on
ones
that
Pushing
site
on the
visit
line.
also.
So that's one of
Care
the,
of those,
Oh, we
right?
saw those, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yeah.
So those were taken care of, no
Yeah.
problem?
Well, the
but
root
the
is
stump-
still
but
in.
the stumps aren't
right,
taken
the
out
stump's
because the
still in.
gentleman that,
You got the hazardous part out of the way. You know,
no, I'm asking a
sir,
question,
I
so.
don't wanna nitpick and do all this stuff. I don't think it's worth it, and the rest, committee
As
doesn't
a
think.
taxpayer,
What I'm
I think it's
saying is,
worth
sir,
it to
what I'm
talk
saying,
about
sir,
this so it doesn't happen again.
Very plainly, what I'm saying, sir, if you do any work within 65 foot of the water or 100 foot of the water, you have to file a notice of intent.
I understand that. I
Okay,
get that loud and
so,
clear.
That being said, get Webby, do a drawing, and file a notice of intent.
I understand
That's
that.
all I'm asking.
So what I'm asking you at this point, can I remove that stump?
Stumpy.
I don't even know what a stump is.
Which
The
one?
stump by the
Stumps.
stream?
The one that's
The
in
two
the,
that,
the one that's
two
in
that
the
were in by
swale?
the one that was in by the stream, I had the stuff removed, but I couldn't get the excavator over to remove the stump.
Yeah, we had
they-
told you to take the
Okay,
take
but I
the
wanna
stump
make
out.
sure that if I go there tomorrow with that excavator and take that last stump out of there, I'm not gonna be come down and people
we
come
were
on my
okay with
property
that.
and
I don't
talk
know
to the
anything
people
about
that
that.
work for
You
me
weren't at
in
that
an
visit,
improper
you weren't
way.
at that
Okay.
visit.
That's you guys.
We were at that visit,
Loud and
so.
clear.
So if
Yeah.
I bring the
We hear-
excavator
I'm
over
clear.
there,
We
I just
hear-
wanna make this clear, cause you weren't there, Tim, and I don't need anybody coming down on my property and people working on it and disrespecting me or the people on my property. So I just wanna make this clear, that if I go there with the excavator and remove that last stump, I'm not gonna have a problem.
Right.
Is that a,
That is what we've said.
okay, I just wanna make sure.
I
So
guess
I'll
we're
get you a
done.
notice of intent.
Now-
and-
Right. With the maps.
So I think the plan, you know, if you have Joe Webby do a plan, should show everything that's
Everything
there.
that's done or that's
like the
there.
the
Yeah.
deck in
And
the
we'll
back,
put these
the-
photographs in the file,
the
so you'll have the
walkway,
photographs for the file.
and that way it's a plan
Yeah.
that shows everything, you know.
I can
on
do that, but the
site.
deck was pre-existing before I moved in there. There was a lot of stuff that was pre-existing,
But
so.
we have the photographs now, so we'll talk about
Okay, but what I'm saying, it was pre-existing, so if I went around the pond and seen all the beaches and all the walls, so I should start taking pictures? and-
Please.
No, I'm asking a question. I'm not starting that,
Okay,
but I'm asking a
alright.
question. It's pre-existing from the time I bought the house, so what am I supposed to do? Someone else built
don't
it, not
remember
me.
You still have to show them on your drawing.
I can show them on the drawing.
That's all. Now,
I
the
think that's all
sidewalk
we're
is
asking
like-
for.
That's what you're
You
asking.
need
I-
a
that-
notice of intent for the walk that you put down there, just file a notice of intent with, just put the notice of intent saying you're putting it, and everything that's pre-existing, just write on the drawing.
Pre-existing. I'm fine with that.
And we're good.
All I'm trying to do is rectify it and hear it
I know,
clear,
and
so I understand, and then I can
know
move
you've
on.
been- I know you've been here several times with different issues. We just wanna, have a level playing field and have it taken care of for you. So,
I don't have an issue
do
with
the
that.
drawings, do a topo drawing, show us what's pre-existing, show us what's new, and file the NOI, and we're good. We'll get it done, we're boom, boom, boom.
And if there's anything else, if you were gonna do that, still gonna do the greenhouse, if you were gonna do that, you could.
No, we
put-
talked about that.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that
I
anymore?
just, all I'm saying is I just wish I knew this last week, because I could be 1 week ahead, because now I'm 2 weeks behind, and so.
I can call Webby, I know him, I can call him and see if I can put a little push on him for you.
That would be
could do that.
helpful, because I know he's
I know
busy,
Joe,
so.
I'll give him a call. I
Okay.
don't know if it'll help, but it might.
Oh, I probably would.
I can bend to zero a little, yeah.
Okay. Thanks then, and we'll continue.
Thank you for
As
your
we
time,
get-
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
paperwork. Our next item is 52 Bunnies Road, an informal discussion with the
Yes.
owner and resident.
Informal discussion, I love that. Okay, everybody, this is informal, go ahead.
Approach you real quick.
Yep.
Take your ties off.
This was the one we just issued, a COC
Oh, certificate.
for, remember the little tiny home you're gonna buy
Yes.
for
Yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the work was never done, so we cleared the old file. That never
Okay.
happened. So now he's doing something new, and he just wants you to look at it and see, get your opinion.
I purchased the house,
Before he
existing
filed.
house right here. Originally, the previous owner had this plan. This is the existing house. Wanted to do this monstrosity of a thing. I don't want to do that.
Okay,
I just want to do a small bump out, 16 feet out. It's within the 65-foot mark, that's the 50-foot mark, so it's within 65 feet, like half of it. My idea is to do a deck foundation, so that's kind of like what the front would look like.
yeah,
Ranch
I
style.
don't care about that.
And then
You can do isolated footings? Is that what this is all about?
that's my plan.
Okay, so you can do isolated footings on that addition.
Correct. As long
So
as it's
all of it, instead of a full foundation, he's
Yeah.
just gonna put,
Right.
So it's really just
Now,
like
when you say
big
this is
posts.
60, within 65 feet of where?
there's a 65-foot
Okay.
here.
setback line.
And this is from what, the pond?
So the pond's right here.
The pond
This
is here.
Oh,
bunny's,
it's from the other one. So it's this here.
There's also a pond over here, isn't there?
No.
No? Okay.
So the road
Comes up.
is right here, and then that's all houses and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'm building away from the pond, but I'm still within. That,
That's a
What is this
60,
line
that's
now?
a 65
this-
there.
That's a 65
And what
What's
is this?
to 50.
Oh, the 50.
Oh, okay, well, that,
So if you
50,
see it right
50
here.
doesn't have a
Oh,
legal
okay, we're just
existence.
trying
We
to
don't
get
deal with
this.
50 foot.
Okay. It's on the thing side.
Yeah, okay. 100, we have a water line, and then 65, and then 100. So the next,
So he's all within the 100, that's
Yeah,
for sure, yeah.
right,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, that's the 100 right there.
Oh, I see, sorry.
Wait,
The
wait,
heavy
wait.
green is existing. is that
Pre-existing
correct?
house.
but if you take a look at what got approved originally,
Uh-huh.
is like kind of this monster
This,
house.
look at this,
And
what
is
got approved.
What never was done, and that's what we issued the
Yeah.
COC on, was the old file.
What date was this?
Speaking of Webby,
Yeah,
Oh, it's a Webby job.
you having him do your plans?
2006.
I'm not.
That's good.
Maybe he could sell this map to the other guy, he needs a map.
All right,
Yeah, so
so
anyway, so
he's
that
getting
was
rid
the
of this
old file.
monstrosity, he's just doing
Yeah.
a small
Yeah, I
addition.
just want to do a little.
Okay,
Just to
So
make
he
it a
wanted,
normal size
he
house.
wanted to talk to you just because it was within the
Yeah, I don't know.
65.
I think it's fine.
If it's on footings.
I think
that's
we do
Yeah.
well.
different than a solid.
Isolated footings, yeah.
Yeah,
no
and
problem.
it's in that area, it's very bungalowy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was kind of,
yeah,
on a
yeah.
little hill, wasn't it? Kind of a little house, yeah.
Come before us with an NOI. You notice
Yeah,
it's not NOI?
That's right, it's an application form that
Gonna
Brooke
make
could
that
get
bed
for
and
you.
breakfast too?
No, it's not that high. Oh, okay.
You,
Oh, okay.
you can either get it from the DEP website or
Chairman?
from Brooke, yes?
She can't hear anything we're saying.
Okay.
We'll
Okay,
give
well,
you,
we're gonna have to formalize it then for
all
her.
right. Well, this is an informal discussion.
Yeah, but it can't be in the minutes.
So,
She can't hear.
so I can just give you a quick thing.
You want an NOI?
I don't even know if it'll work.
Notice of intent, you can get that on the web. It's easy to fill out.
Do it now. Proposal for your house. And he wanted to talk to me because it's within the 65, so,
It's done. Show where your existing house is,
so
show the addition.
the new thing that he's proposing is on footings as opposed to like a solar
grade.
pond, so that's much
To
better.
scale,
To
proper
be within
scale.
the 65, it's on, you know, tiny.
Do it yourself, save yourself a few $1,000s.
Previous plans is cool, it's this monster house, so he's shrinking it way down, so it's much better. Project.
Gotcha.
Well, yeah, you have to, yeah, well, no, let me, the construction itself is between you and the building department. We just do the wetlands, okay, I don't care what the footings look like. Okay, we're gonna give you authorization on the wetlands,
But I
they'll
think-
give you authorization on the footings.
But I think, Tim, what he's asking is if the building department says, no, you can't do you can't do this.
Then they'll have to
so
come back before us.
Then it's gonna impact.
Well, he can go to him before he comes to us and
That's
just.
what
Right.
I asked. You were asking that
Right,
question.
so I want
Is that the way you were
It's gonna be
asking?
the
what you
next-
guys, what your thoughts
It's
are.
gonna be the next bed and breakfast in Carver?
All right,
I
well,
mean, I don't think the building department would have problems with footings, though, would they? I mean, I don't know.
Be Mr. Marriott before you know
Oh, okay.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
ahead, tell us
that's what I
Marriott's
would do,
moving in here.
because if we give you the go-aheads and then they throw a wrench into the whole thing, then you start all over again. You know, so,
Marion, this
That's a good
discussion
point,
is
Al.
Or you
basically.
could come back and amend it
Is,
if we issued
yeah,
more
for him
like.
to develop means by which to approach the building department for an application, which will then be formally recorded in the minutes at that time.
all right, young man.
all right?
Thank you for
Good to
doing
go.
so.
Submit the NOI, come back to another meeting, or?
Yes, you will.
Yes.
When you
That-
file that NOI, absolutely.
That will have
We'll
to
set
be-
up we'll set up a formal meeting and so forth and so on.
And you have to notify the abutters, so you have to get a certified abutters list. Yeah.
And next time you have
Yeah, so
your,
you know what you're up against with that, you just did it on Rochester Road.
But if you do, who's your engineer? Because, I mean, he can help you with that. A lot of the engineers are very familiar on how to do that, and sometimes it's easy to have them do it. Oh, okay, yeah. So he's done those before, so he knows how to do them.
Who's that?
Foresight Engineering, they've been in. Oh, good, so he can
You
probably.
can reuse Webby's drawings too. You
after
don't
you
have
get
a
the
problem with that.
construction done,
Sorry, Mr.
you
Chairman.
got the grill going, and then we come down to check on that too.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
You have to
Alright.
put in about the beers being on ice and,
Now, we're going to deal
Did
with,
you say that?
pardon me? We're going to deal with the Pine Ridge enforcement order.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Now, as you folks come up to speak, please sign into the document there on the table, because that way we have a record of everybody who has presented information or attitudes, etc. So, Brenda, would you like to speak first?
Whoever's gonna come up.
We know you best.
I did. Brenda Johnson, 28 Pine Ridge Way. You asked that we come before you because of the beach issues, so we're here. We do have
Could
three.
you pull the mic closer to
Sure.
yourself, please? Thank you.
We do have 3 unit owners that didn't attend, and we have a letter from one, which they'll present to you as to why they're not here. I guess we need clarification as to what some of the unit owners did wrong and what they can and cannot do within the 65 and 100 foot. That would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Which was what we decided at the last meeting. We wanted everybody, you know, who lives there to just know what, you know, they can do and what they can't do when they have to notify us, just so that nobody, you know, gets confused and so that
Well,
it gets
we
clarified.
do-
And if anybody has any questions.
We do have
they
those
can-
posts out there, right? Says don't work, go beyond
Yeah.
this point. We do have those out there, right?
Yeah, there are some out there, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wonder how that happened. Okay.
So I don't know, just, maybe we should just
Maybe
open
one
it
at
up
a
for
time, we
questions?
should talk about it. Huh?
Well,
Or
okay,
you wanna just tell
it's in the
them?
minutes as to what they're really doing here.
right, yeah,
'Cause
we
it's a
have, as the
violation.
draft minutes from the last meeting, right?
And
Is that
I
it?
guess there were some bushes taken down.
Alan, is this thing you're talking about here?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
this is the whole thing. This is why we issued the order.
Okay, good enough.
And the violation.
Right.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
So, yeah, what we're looking at is our draft minutes from the last meeting, which showed the information that was presented. And there was a Doreen Diane. Is she still here? Is she? Okay. And Brenda came as representatives. And Brooke explained that they were notified that there's activity near the pond with clearing of vegetation and cutting of branches, and it looked like a beach was going to be created. Now, the commission discussed with the trustees that no small beaches were allowed. Only large ones? No. There was a small pathway to a dock, which was okay, but there's supposed to be no other clearing. There was another area south of the dock that was discussed to be a waiting area. The commission said that the waiting area would be okay. Jim Nowen took pictures of the vegetation, and the area is now wider, and vegetation has been removed, and lower pine branches have been removed to make a better view. Ms. Johnson showed that the numerous emails about the rules have been sent to owners, as well as 2 letters were sent out. The new owners did not pay attention and went ahead and did what they want. That's a judgment on our part, I guess. They will be held accountable to put the area back to its original condition. Trustees have been vigilant with this. However, there were no trustees around at the time the aforementioned clearing was done. Alan Germain asked what the trustees will do regarding the fines. He explained that every owner will be assessed the fines. Savory Moore said that the A certificate of completion for the initial phase was approved. The second phase has not been given an approval in its COC. So, the certified letters were sent out to the homeowners, asking them to come to the next meeting, and that unless the affected area is reverted back by a certain time frame, they will be fined up to maximum penalties allowed by law, and the COC will not be approved. Alan Jermaine made a motion to close the hearing on Pine Ridge condos, and the enforcement order, seconded by J.P. Flaherty, voted and passed unanimously 4-0-0. Alan made a motion to hold the COC, send certified copies, indicate the possibility of maximum fine of up to $1,000, and potential legal action for failure to comply, and also order cease and desist on any further modification to the pond area within the 100-foot buffer, and that individuals will be requested to attend the first hearing in August. Also, replanting will be required when it will yield the best results. Seconded by such and such, okay. So what we have is now, I need to discuss what does need to be done, what needs to be replanted, and so on.
I want it all restored. We have photographs of what it was like before,
I think Savory had some.
Yes.
right? Savory has the photographs. I
Yes.
want to restore it to where it was.
The second little beach.
For them to avoid this fine, I want it completely restored, soup to nuts. I want more signs put out there, and we're gonna govern it. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna go out there and take photographs right now, tomorrow,
Yeah,
to make sure that we have all the photographs of what is going on now.
so I think, I mean, I don't know, but does everybody know what they can and cannot do? I don't think, and I think they just,
Can't do
they
anything.
need to be told, I know.
It's very plain, you just can't do anything
Can I ask a
within
question, Mr.
65 foot of the
Well,
town.
100, actually. I mean,
Well, it's 65, I'm sorry, it's 65 foot with the town bylaw, that's what I was
Right,
trying to say.
but
And 100 foot,
it's
right.
generally
Okay,
the
just a
100.
minute, no, it's okay, go ahead.
Before we, through the chair, before we jump into what we can and can't do and so forth, does everybody agree with or understand what was just read? Do any of you believe, hold on. Do any of you think that there is no violation that's been committed down on the pond? Do you think that this is just fine and there's no big deal and all we're trying to do is make it nice so we can see the pond? I mean, what I'm trying to say is, did you sit back and think to yourselves that you could just go and cut all this stuff and it was fine to do that?
You had to walk right by the signs to do it.
I'm not trying to prove intent. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. Jim just read off a whole list of things that the commission found in violation. And that's the reason, and it was brought, and Brenda came before us and said that she's been having a hard time trying to get the word across, which is the only reason why these certified letters went out.
I think it's very unclear what we're supposed to do and what we can.
That was my question. We're not sitting here trying to send anybody to jail. We don't want anybody getting in big trouble. We're not trying to create a big problem, but we go back to what we said earlier to the last person that sat up at the table. If we don't get a handle on the stuff, then what happens is the small path becomes 10 feet wide, and the small beach becomes enough for 150 people, and then to hell with the laws. We just don't, who cares about the conservation laws? We don't care how that works anymore. We're just going to do whatever we want. And we're trying to stop that, just because it's going to get out of control if we don't. We don't want you to not do what you want to do. We just need to know what you're doing, so when somebody else comes to us and says, well, how come they got to do, we don't sit back and say, what are you talking about? We don't know anything what we didn't hear about that.
Al, it isn't that, you can't do it, period. It's a 65-foot bylaw.
It requires a variance.
It requires a variance, which we're not gonna give. So the issue is, when you bought the place, you knew you can't go to the water, period. You have a dock, that's all you get.
Activity is cutting.
If you can sit, I'm telling you, I'm gonna bring you right to the state if I have to. But the issue here is, you have a responsibility to the lake and to that property. The lake says, we say, and the law states, you can't touch it. Period. Now, if you do, I'm gonna request by the by the board that you completely restore that at your cost, or we fine the whole place. It's a $25,000 fine per.
Okay, Tim, now that we've said this,
Well,
Let's
darn
get
it, they're not
copies.
listening.
So, I mean, so the regulations actually say, they just say any activity within 100 feet of a wetland. So the wetland on your property being Sampson's Pond. So theoretically, anything within 100 feet, and then also the 65, because 65 is the bylaw, we need to be notified, an activity is cutting, it's, putting sand, it's putting a little deck, it's really, activity is pretty much anything. So, and we're not saying that you can't do it, but it's one of those things that you have to come before us and ask us permission
Well,
to.
you have to come before us with a notice of intent, yada, yada, yada.
You would call us, because people have done that. We've had a number of people call us about trees. We've been down to a number of the ponds, and there's been
Okay,
white
cutting
pines,
them.
and we've allowed people to cut them if they're gonna fall on to the top of their house, or if they've fallen and they're, on your
They have to
power
be-
line, or.
They have to be an endangerment to the
Look,
property.
Yeah,
Then after the 100-foot back, we are free to do what we want, what the association chooses.
we
Yes.
can't tell you anything beyond 100 feet, we don't have any jurisdiction.
Part,
Yeah.
part of the problem is, you talk about the signs aren't 100 feet from the water.
Farther away, aren't they?
They're much farther away, so
we should
it's
put 'em-
100 feet. I think when
we
they
probably
did
get
it,
to
it
get-
had to be
yeah.
200 or 150.
I think originally, for some reason, when way back, there was a 200 foot.
Naturally, they wouldn't go beyond that.
Right, so I think,
guess
All
that
right,
didn't
it's
work.
further than 100. We measured
Yeah.
yesterday.
so I think when they got installed too far up.
Well, we didn't install it.
No, we didn't, but I guess
Your
the,
landlord installed it,
the
the developer.
Right, but I think when the development rights were issued, it was different than 100 foot.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the confusion
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
is, so it's 100 feet from the water.
But
Yeah.
there is a
But I usually
development map,
thought we
right?
put 'em on, yeah.
A topo of the
Put
property.
'em under is fine.
yeah, I mean, way back when the condos were, approved, I sort of remember Dan saying something about it, and Peg saying something about a 200 foot. They had said a 200 foot from the pond, but
Yes,
that.
originally
but-
for the other
remember-
condos, but
But
I
we
think-
can't really do that. I think we really only can do 100.
Exactly.
100 feet.
So really, the sign should be at 100 though, not like
So
say
that the-
200, yeah.
Well, the general contractor
So we could get the contractor maybe
to
to.
move them to 100 feet.
Brooke,
They can't hear you,
I
Tim.
want to get 20 copies of these these conditions printed up and handed to, and we'll give you 20, and if you need more copies, you guys have to
Oh, of
reproduce
the
them here.
regulations?
Yeah, well, the regulations as we're applying them here,
Yeah.
Okay.
with
Okay.
that.
Yep.
So we want to keep you informed, but at the same time, we want you to pay attention to these things too, so.
And I think there still might be a little confusion with the 65 and 100. The 65 is town and the 100 is state.
Right,
But you follow the 100, not the 65?
correct.
Well, no, well,
Not really.
you
Okay.
gotta,
We're more strict within the 65.
we're much
65
more
becomes
strict
like a
within the
no touch.
65. That's a town bylaw, okay? We're much more strict than the 65.
Right.
Because the 65 is what's known as a no-touch zone.
Right.
No touch means no touch.
Jim wants-
Even that, people will misunderstand. Sometimes
I don't know how
wells
much
are
clearer
allowed
we can
within
make
that
it.
65 foot area, a few other things, but generally, no activity at all is allowed within those. And then between the 65 and 100, some very limited things are allowed, and
That
outside the
still
100
requires
is.
a variance. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
The 65 to 100.
The 65 to 100, anything within the 100 requires a variance. The
Right.
65 becomes a no-touch, meaning the board will give you a variance to go play in that 100 to 65-foot range, but it's really gonna be extenuating to break into the 65. You know, if the piece of your driveway goes there and they can't put it anywhere else, then they might bend that rule, but they're not gonna give you carte blanche to the pond.
That ain't gonna happen.
Any other questions? Why don't you come on up, please?
Come on up. Anybody's got a question, come on up, sit down.
Yeah, we want to have you here and get recorded on too, because that's part of the adventure.
No charge.
I have a really long name.
Yeah, yeah, but real long. Oh, she's still writing, it's gotta be long.
Oh, my God.
The poor girl. The selectmen should be able to tackle a call like this.
I'm Maria Vericchione. I'm the developer, and I also still own units 8 and 9 at Pine Ridge Way.
Okay.
And I really just want clarification on something. I want to say maybe a year and a half ago, Brenda, myself, and Ronnie, and I don't remember if there was any other resident, Bob Pano and Bob walked the property with, I believe it was
Yeah.
yourself, and a few other people, and I can't remember.
Probably weren't there. I know Savory was there. I think you were there, Jim. Remember that? And that was about the brush?
Right, well, it was about the brush and what we could and we couldn't
Yep.
do, and of
Yep.
course, that was relayed. But just for clarification purposes, Mr. Dempsey, you said something that concerned me a little bit, and you said that you can't even go down to the water.
I didn't say you couldn't go down to the water, I
Oh.
said you can't disturb anything.
Okay, that's what I wanted a
Oh,
clarification on.
no, you can go to the water.
Okay.
You just can't,
That-
rip up
perfect.
the shrubs to do it.
Right,
And
no,
when we were there, you have your big beach, which was
Right.
there way back in the beginning, which is
Right.
fine. And then you have the other little one that goes down, there's a little boat there,
Right.
there's a dirt path down
Correct.
there. And I think there was a couple of concrete things already in the water, so it looked like that had kind of already been used. So that we said was okay. But then that was the area where that got cut a little bit more
Too
than
much.
we had
Yeah, you're gonna
Right.
have to
said.
replant.
Yeah.
So I also too, at that time, I believe, my recollection serves me right, we were allowed to bring sand out from the pond, we just couldn't bring
Yes.
anything in.
That's
Okay,
correct.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm
Bring
clear on
bring
that.
it up
From the
Yes.
pond,
bottom,
Yes.
Put
Yes, you
it
can.
back on the beach.
Okay, so that's all that I understood we could do, that's all we kind of took care of. I know maybe a couple people got a little overzealous and,
Yeah.
trying to do a beautification thing.
Right.
But now that we all are clear, I
Yeah.
think we're good.
Yeah,
So
so we
I
want to
appreciate the
understands
bring it up
this
clarification.
from already stuff within the
Right.
pond and then to bring in new sand from
Okay,
some,
thank you for
know,
clarifying.
You're welcome.
I'd like to say some things, but I'm not sure if you're all familiar with this. Sampson's Pond is called one of the great ponds. It really is not. It's a cranberry reservoir. The level of that water is controlled by a committee of 7 cranberry growers. They decide whether they need more water, the level drops. If they need less water and need to preserve it, then the level will go up. So that is something that happens. The other thing is that the algal bloom and various other conditions that occur in the pond cannot always be treated because of the fact that chemicals that are used there might affect the cranberry industry downstream. So it's a little tricky in that we're having to worry about one part of Carver for another reason. So just be aware of that.
Now,
Okay.
let's talk about what has to be done to rectify the situation. I'm sorry?
Oh, I don't know if there are any more questions.
Do we have some other people that want to talk?
Let's talk about restoration.
Well, there probably are a couple of places where small trees should be replaced. We saw signs of some roughly 2-inch
Pines
diameter
taken out, yeah.
pines being cut down.
Right.
And those should be probably replaced. Those will grow fairly quickly, so if you further in on the property, you may find some pines of a similar size to be able to just dig them up, bring them over, plant them there, and they'll take root very easily.
They gotta make it as narrow as it was before.
Yes, we'll try.
I'm just
Try
saying, you
to,
know,
yeah.
taking you.
Well, we will work with you as far as going down maybe, and what we may have to do is put stakes
we
in
could
to
put-
show
yeah.
the gap that we felt we
Yeah.
allowed, and that it will have to be
Yeah.
resumed, reproduced.
Yeah, because I know Savory had a couple pictures, so we could
Yeah.
go down with him. All right.
Through the chair, Brenda, can you have those signposts moved to 100 foot? Can we get those moved?
Yeah.
Yes.
So then
Okay.
everybody will be
That
on
would be
board,
be-
they'll
yeah.
know that that's the end.
Yeah.
You might have to add a couple maybe, see what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes, sir? Want to come up, please? Sir.
Those
Come on up.
signposts have the signs that say this is 200 feet, don't go beyond the 200 feet. You're saying move the post, but.
They can move to 100 feet, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, should you change the signs themselves that say 200 feet on it?
You can have the general contractor
Just says no
change.
activity.
We're not
Yes,
responsible for that.
I don't believe it has actually
I
a,
thought it's, does it say 200 feet
No.
on those?
Theirs do,
Huh?
Oh, they do
theirs
that?
do. Do they say that, Brenda?
I think it just says,
No touch zone area.
because Brenda, if those,
Where I read on the sign.
oh,
If it does, I'll get them changed.
but if those are the ones that you got from us recently, which was, it just says no activity beyond this point. And it doesn't give it doesn't really give a number.
Those are the ones, those would be the ones to use and set them at 100 feet and we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And beyond the 100 feet, we're allowed to.
Yep.
Cut
do
out
anything you
dead
want,
trees
cut
and-
grass,
Yes.
whatever you want. We have
We
no
can't say anything.
authority beyond 100 feet. The town takes care of it after that.
But the association does.
Yeah.
Not individual.
Yeah.
The association, I
like
guess,
to-
at this point, would take care of that. Right.
Right. But that's your issue, that's right.
There is a little condo association further up along the shore, which has a number of large white pines. Some of them are only 2 feet from the cottages next to them. And their group cannot get together to agree to cut them
Oh,
down.
the
And
ones, yeah.
someday we're gonna get a call from the fire department about, pulling somebody out from under a 2-foot diameter pine. And it's sad,
Yeah.
but it's just something they have to
Yeah.
do, and they have to work.
And
at
there
it.
were some on the power lines too,
Oh,
that
yeah.
they couldn't agree
Yep,
on.
right.
We walked that site and I wouldn't live in any one of those houses. So if
Oh,
the
the
tree
ones
came
that-
down, it would take down the next 3 little condos. That's how big the trees are. They'd be the first thing that'd have to go. And I love the trees, but that's just not safe. So that's what we're not in a situation where this is all etched in stone. We just need to know what you're doing and we need to keep commonality between the whole town so that everybody's on the same page, we all play by the same rules. That's all.
We can flex a little bit,
Yep.
but generally, we try and balance it, so on. I got some grief from some of my neighbors 5 years ago. I took down 22 white pines. Cost $5,000. But it has saved us a lot of grief, especially in the last year with the heavy storms we've had.
Yeah.
But you're not
Oh.
even near wetlands either.
So that's it, restore it, let us know when you're done restoring, we'll come down and take a look at it.
So you say
Can you give us,
before.
can you give us any direction on what you want restored? So
Maybe
So
we should probably go back and.
We're gonna
and
go back
probably
and
go
mark,
back.
mark
We
an
need to
area,
give 'em a
mark-
location.
Yeah.
We could do that, we'll
Yeah.
meet with, your board
Yep.
on site, and we'll come up with what we can do.
It's not a lot, it's just.
It's not a lot, it just has to be done. If we
That's really a
don't do
good
it,
idea.
we know that if we don't have you do that, it's just gonna get bigger. It ain't gonna work. So we're gonna have you plan.
So, could we through the,
Existing piles we had there, we can pick those up.
Of the cut brush and so on?
Piles
Yeah.
of brush that were
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, she can take
Within
it.
65 foot.
Doesn't matter, they're cut.
They cut it, or they're gonna pull it out, and then what?
Then if it's
Then
cut
we
on the
should
ground,
remove
it should be removed, yeah. Sure. Doing nobody a favor.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
through the chair, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Would it be possible for us, and also to my 2 members of the board, could we do this site visit on a Saturday? Would that be convenient for everybody that works for a living like I do, so that, I'm not always available at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday? Maybe a lot of you would like to come along on that walk so you could see what was going on. Would that be something we could pull off?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Let's set a date, if you wanna set a date.
Can we set a date? We can do that. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, through the
Oh,
chair.
no, that's a good idea. We'll, how about if we set several tentative dates and then we'll firm up on one of them?
Yeah, would that be all right?
Alright.
That all right with you, Brenda?
Yeah.
We do that?
Gentlemen with a question.
Next couple Saturdays.
Yeah, we could do Saturday.
Yeah, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, good? Everybody?
No problem, man.
Why did I know that was gonna be the answer with thumbs up?
Well, that way you have the whole day ahead of you.
Well,
There's
Okay,
a guy with his hand up, Jim.
yes. Someone had another question? Sir?
Yeah, my name's Cliff Higgins, number 19. There was one of the trustees, 2 of the trustees, and I don't know the other people, but someone was taking pictures of that area out there today. Why were they taking pictures there today?
I don't know.
It wasn't us.
Weren't us. We weren't on
that's
site.
not up to us, you talk to your trustees.
Doreen, I saw you out there today.
Oh, that was for the landscape today.
He was taking pictures.
It had nothing to do with this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter between you.
The lawn.
Okay,
Hold on, we got a lady who wants to say something. Hey, you guys argue about your stuff.
calm down.
Jesus.
I just want to say that we appreciate the pond. We want to keep it as beautiful as possible and keep it in its natural state, and we love living here.
Yeah, good.
So I know that we'll do whatever we need to abide by the rules, and we want to make this a comfortable environment for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, we only have one world to live in.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say thank you for listening to us, and thank you for explaining the rules.
Okay, good.
I mean, obviously, we have some things we need to iron out, but that's our problem. But it's not your problem, and I want to say thank you, and I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
You.
She's obviously, you're obviously the one that's cooking breakfast at 4:30 on that site visit.
Okay. You may see occasionally large volumes of iron in the water. Unfortunately, a lot of the soil has iron in. That's the reason Sampson's Pond exists now. It was dug out in order to get iron ore from it to build stove parts in the old foundry, which used to operate right across from where the Crane Brook is.
Used to make cannonballs and stuff out of it.
But they are trying to avoid that by setting up check dams as the water moves through. They're trying to stop it from and cause it to drop the iron and so on.
How about the cleanliness of the water?
About the what?
Cleanliness of the water, because it has to ever go out there once a year or once every 5 years.
Yeah. Well, that's natural. We don't do anything about that. Okay, it's oh, people swim on it, sure, all the time. That's fine.
Yeah.
And that's big motorboats are not in theory, not supposed to be allowed on there.
In theory.
In theory.
In theory,
Yeah,
yeah. That
the
doesn't
little
work.
ones keep growing and growing.
It's just, like open space, the motors get bigger and bigger.
Mr. Chairman? How about, everybody all right with, and is the board all right with
Maybe we'll just set like one date
August
and see if
4th
they-
is a Saturday?
August 4th.
August 4th.
At what time?
Brenda's in,
Sunrise.
out of the country, are you?
Oh, well, maybe the
That's
one
okay.
after?
Some of your board.
One
That's
after?
the Saturday after Old Home Day, which is coming up on the 28th, so.
Sounds good. We'll try it.
How about,
9 o'clock?
That work for everybody, 9 a.m.?
the week after the 4th? You want Brenda to be there? You want,
Or can you be there the 11th, Brenda?
what?
Okay, go with the 11th.
Let's do it. I want Brenda.
The 11th of August
Okay.
instead?
It's in.
Okay.
At 9?
9?
9 AM.
Site meeting
All
for
right.
9 a.m. at,
If it's after 10.
what's the name of this place?
Seems like.
Brooke wants it
36
after
Main
10 so we can have cocktails.
Street, which is a condominium.
It's after 10 somewhere.
Are there any other questions, or can we conclude this at this point,
All right, so,
I don't
at
know.
least temporarily?
I think that was good.
Okay,
Good.
thanks.
All right. Thank you.
I hope
Thank
that
you
we
very
can have
much.
a more cooperative
Yeah.
union in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, if we don't have a.
so
more
9 a.m. on the 11th.
Find
9
out real
a.m.
quick.
at the, on the 11th. That was pretty good.
BYOB.
I had a couple people come in and they were.
That's when you lose your, this is when you lose your
One letter, and I
audience,
said I
Mr.
could
Chairman.
do something, and then like, and then another letter, I said I couldn't do something.
I don't know if we have anything left, do we?
There was more.
Got a what?
There's 73.
Oh, the COCs that we,
That's fine.
South Main, 28 South Main Street.
That's the Higgins house down next to Murphy's. Oh, yeah. Where we like the,
Yeah. Ones I took photographs on? Yeah, yeah. Oh, for a second, I thought it was Mercury.
Nice to see you. So you live over there?
Motion on any of that, Pine Ridge. This is just gonna
That's a
be-
great spot, though.
Let's say Marie and JP know.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to push that.
I don't even know,
Works
I
for
don't
me.
know what she said, but I
If
know.
I'm not at a car show,
I live, the girl she was talking about, that
I have to look it up.
was a girl that grew up at the Situate when I was
Our-
really young.
our next order of business is,
Oh my God, she wouldn't wash the dishes. What?
our next order of business is
Sorry.
The visit we made to 73 Crystal Lake
Oh,
Drive.
yeah, I just wanted to let you know, she had called me. You remember we went there and there were vines all over,
Right.
yeah, so she called me and just wanted me to know that the people had come, and I drove by and it looked fine.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one we all went on that.
That was the older lady, she was
Yes, yeah,
handicapped.
very,
her
very
daughter was
nice
there,
lady.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So if, we could do this, the hearing before we do the COCs if you want to. Do you wanna do that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we'll jump ahead.
Because the COCs will go
Right.
quick right
It'll
afterwards.
take us 10 minutes.
Did you just say all the vines are removed? Did you just
Oh,
say
yeah.
the owner?
It was clear to the owner's satisfaction.
Yeah, we had talked to her about it, and she just wanted me to know that they were doing the work, and I think I told them they were doing the work, yeah. Yeah. Steve Murphy, I know.
Okay, so we're,
No, it's cool. Okay.
at this point, we're going to open the hearing for
The other one?
162 Plymouth Street, DP, SEP 126-565. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The public hearing will be held at 7:15 PM, now 7:50 PM, to hear the notice of intent submitted by John Gasky for the proposed construction of ground-mounted 35 modules solar array associated with the existing single-family dwelling. Proposed work is within the 100-foot and 65-foot buffer zone from wetland resource areas bordering vegetated wetland and will require a variance under the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Project is located at 162 Plymouth Street, Carver, Mass., map 17, lot 066-R. All interested parties are invited to attend.
All right, let's hear it.
But I'll give you a plan. Well, we looked at these today, but
This is that
You all have a copy of the plan up there that you can view, correct?
Yeah.
I have this facing the other way from everybody else.
there are a couple copies. Yep.
Maybe Savory and Jim and you and I. We got more.
I got two together, yep.
You got another?
Got another one.
Yeah, that's what we saw this morning.
Yeah.
Here you go, buddy.
Oops, that's okay.
Even though it's only 65, it's
Okay, we know what it is, we've seen it.
any trees, anyway,
Got the place so hot and bothered there. I'm free to death.
you guys are okay with it?
All right. Yeah.
Put up to 80.
All right, so,
Good Jeff and Mutt routine.
Hi.
good evening. Nice to see you all again. My name is Nicholas. I'm from Grady Consulting. We have the solar array proposed within the 65-foot buffer zone for 162 Plymouth Street here. It is really a very minimal disturbance after construction is completed. It's just a few minor poles in the ground and then a PVC, not PVC, electrical conduit running through to connect them to the dwelling. And really, I don't believe we have anything else more to say about it other than that.
How far off the ground is it?
I believe it's about 3 feet. At one point, it is angled, so it is about 1.5 feet on one end and about 6.5 feet on the other. Roughly speaking. Roughly speaking.
So when we went out today, we had questions about whether they had to cut any, you don't have to cut any trees or anything, this is really
Nope,
wide open.
it's already
Yep.
Not cutting
cleared
any trees.
in the previously disturbed lawn. Yep, already there.
That's the only
Yep.
other question. It's all, it may be within 65 feet, Al,
Yeah.
but it's very dry, it's up high.
Was the caution tape, was that where, did you put that up? You did, so that's where the array was going, that's what I kind of figured that's what we figured that was, okay.
Yeah, it's
So
up-
it's not
and
wet?
Oh,
No.
no, it's not even close, it's high.
And then in between that, between where the panels are and the wetland is like all sumac and stuff, so there's a big,
Yeah,
pretty
there's
good
plenty,
buffer and stuff between, the wetland and the solar array.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very pleased with it.
yeah.
Do you think, I don't really think there's any other,
No?
Yeah, it's nothing much to it.
30,
I don't have a problem with that.
35 modules.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any problem.
Motion to close the hearing, you wanna let it continue? What do you wanna do?
If you'd seen it, Al, you would.
we have any neighbors that are interested in this? No? Okay.
Any neighbors? No, no butters?
Okay,
Take care of
so-
that.
Both of, I have no neighbors on one side and the neighbors on the other side are fine with it.
Yeah.
And you're high and dry where you are,
Yes.
where that's going.
Okay. So, we'll, motion to close the hearing then.
I'll make a
And you-
motion.
Oh, you have to issue a variance. 'cause it's in 65.
Well, we have to close the hearing first.
Oh, and then, okay.
Make a motion, we close the hearing for 162 Plymouth Street, DEP, 126565.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to close the hearing for 162 Plymouth Street. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimous. Okay. And so now we have a variance required for the location. And
What do you wanna do here, Jim?
we're gonna issue the variance on location of the, since it's within this 100-foot, 65-foot buffer zone from wetland.
You have to open a meeting on that, right?
No,
No.
we're
We
Well-
close the meeting, we just need a variance.
close the
Okay,
hearing.
yeah.
But then you're gonna issue the
Okay,
variance
I
for
got it.
65.
The variance is part of it.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we issue a variance for 162 Plymouth Street, DEP 126565, as drawn up for the infringement on the 65-foot buffer.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to issue a variance for the location of solar panels within the 100-foot and 65-foot buffer zones at 162 Plymouth Street. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's passed unanimous. Okay.
Here you go.
Thank you.
You good?
I'm all set.
That wasn't so bad.
No?
I'm not sure if I'm the next one up again, though.
You're on the next one.
Oh, we shoot that one down. You can't have two in one night.
Yeah, not allowed, right?
All right, so we have that one. Oh, we have, never mind. I've
We
got
got a
to sign it.
continued hearing here.
I'll have you sign it. And then the next one is the continue. And I
It's
have-
nice to see some small ground-mounted arrays being installed. It is nice. We need more of them.
Thank
Dear
you.
God, for his circle. I thought you were kidding.
No, I was not kidding. I was serious.
All right, let's see what you got.
We,
So-
because I've got the amended plans, right? So
You
I
you
need
do
to-
have those, yes? I
so then,
believe I
yeah.
sent those to you. Okay.
Don't chuck it, I'll miss it.
I'll give it to you. I would've got it over here.
Saucer.
So these are amended plans since the last hearing, because remember they weren't sure if they were gonna get the perk test where it showed, no, so they did the perk, and so this is showing where the perk, you end up perking. and-
May I? Yeah.
Yep.
So as you open up those plans, you'll see we did run the perk test as you instructed us to do. It perked about as well as we thought it would, fantastically, actually. We have rotated the system 180 degrees that has no effect on anything other than the literal placement of the septic tank, which is still much more than the required distance away from any of the setbacks.
Oh, this is that.
Oh.
Godfrey,
Got yours?
did you get the right one?
You got the right one, you got Godfrey Circle?
Did I give you Plymouth Street again?
You know what's wrong
They're
when
both
you see a
Grady
pond
plants.
in the middle of it?
They're all Grady plans.
Oh, here it is.
Sorry.
Godfrey Circle. Anybody else use it?
We tried too hard to make them all look alike.
So that's that one.
So besides having perked it as you requested, I did take the liberty of adding those conservation posts as well as labeling the patio in the rear of the building to be labeled as an impervious surface, or sorry, a pervious surface.
And your perk went well then, I take it?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all sand up there, I didn't think.
Kevin
That's
did
what
that.
we figured, yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a continuation.
Oh, okay.
But you don't know until you actually do
I
it.
live right down the street, I know it's all sand.
Okay.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, remember, and then, yeah, because they weren't sure if they were gonna be at where
Did
the
you
perk
guys
was.
straighten out the cesspool? Is that the one that had the cesspool?
No,
Was the
this is,
No.
no, this says, oh, no, that was,
Oh, they're right, that was
that was
Andrew's Point,
yeah,
sorry.
don't-
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot to mention, we did add the dry well in the driveway to handle the drainage issue that you had brought up at the previous meeting.
Oh, great. Yeah, remember the first
Oh, I
time they
remember
came to us?
this, yep.
They weren't sure if they were gonna be able to get the perk where they had showed it, and then they were talking about cutting stuff,
You
so.
put the drain in for the garage door
You-
area?
yeah.
Yep,
'Cause that
there's
was the-
actually, there's
That
gonna.
was gonna come down a little bit and then go to an underground, an under garage, right?
Yes, correct. There's actually a low point right at that turning area, so we had a drywall right there that comes right out. The drywall, I believe, is even outside the,
Okay,
I might have
goes
put it
up a
outside the
foot and a
100 foot
quarter.
for you, too.
All right.
Tried
Yeah.
at least.
So you guys are concerned about them
Cause that was
putting-
a question you had, Tim.
Yeah, right, exactly so. I'm
Was the
glad they-
runoff down that driveway.
Yeah, well, they got the Better get a bigger catch pan
remember
than I
that.
see there, though, I'll tell you. Is there a detail on a catch pan on there anywhere? Let's see.
Don't believe there was a detail on that. I think it was shown on the detail for the dry well, but not in any sort of real detail.
Yeah.
Is the dry well for the roof drains, is that similar to what you put in for the driveway, or?
I'm sorry?
Is this, the dry well for the roof drains, you show a 11-foot overall space and pea stone and so forth. Is this similar to what you're doing for the driveway? Am I missing something?
I think I'm just missing something.
Dry
This
well
is a
for
dry
roof
well by the
drains.
driveway, right?
I'm looking at this drawing.
Yes. So dry well for the driveways.
Is that similar to what you're doing for the driveway? For the big drain for the driveway?
Would you like to take a shot at that one, or would you like me to? He's
Is the
asking
dry well the
about.
same type
He's
of-
asking about the roof drains.
Well, you shouldn't need any on the upland side because we're far enough away. And the downspouts on the driveway side will go right onto the driveway, which will pitch into the driveway drain.
Yes, that's my question. That's what I think Tim was asking that question.
You're
is-
talking about on the driveway side?
Right, how big is that
Yes, it
dry
will
well
take-
for that?
It will take the driveway and the roof drywall on that one.
We might need a bigger
Are you
grade, as you
using a
mentioned.
precast honeycomb on that?
It would be concrete. It wouldn't
Yeah,
be-
precast though.
Yes,
Precast concrete,
yes.
honeycomb. Well,
I think that just
no
was answering
detail
your
on how to
question,
build
Jim.
that. Yeah, but there's no detail
sorry,
on the
Tim.
building. I'm sorry.
I think that was answering your question. You
Yeah, right.
asked how big the drain with the drywall
Right,
was gonna be for that
I don't
driveway.
see any detail, and so we don't know how big it is.
That's why I asked.
Thank you.
I'm okay with this.
As good as, there's nothing in the 65.
Two roof drains at that end of the house, and then the drainage running off of the driveway, that's all.
Probably just be one, because the other one would be up high.
Uh-huh.
It's not in the 65.
Right, no.
The back,
It's a little bit going on the side.
That's the little shed roof that's on the garage.
So he needs a variance anyway.
okay.
I hope that drain's big enough to
That's
hold,
the
because the water's gonna sit
right.
right there.
Excuse me, let's get posts up.
Still needs a variance to be within 100.
No, you don't really need.
No?
We were trying not to allow 1100, but, you know, really sort of. No, there isn't a lot.
Put that drain.
What's your pleasure, Mr. Chairman? No pickles?
Okay, I don't see any problem here, so,
May I make a suggestion, Mr.
yeah.
Chairman? I would like to make a suggestion with reference to your dry well. I prefer to see the inlet off the pavement, on the edge of the pavement rather than on the pavement, so everything drains that way. And it'll be easier for their driveway as well. You know, you won't have issues with that. So if they just swing it to its outside, just outside, make it big enough to take that water. You know, I'm looking, if I'm scaling this right, it's probably not even a foot in diameter. You need a little bit bigger drain than that.
This one where the 97
Yeah,
foot
right,
marking is.
exactly, so it should be off,
Regular street
should be off the
cast-
pavement.
It's gonna be a regular cast iron.
Oh, okay, so it's
I
not
don't
just,
use the plastic one.
Yeah, that's the
okay,
low
so this
spot.
isn't to scale. All right, just put it off the driveway at that edge, the low point
You don't
off.
want it in the driveway?
No, put it off the driveway, just off the, it's better for the homeowner later on, because the issues they'll have with the, you know, going over with the car and in the winter and everything else, everything shifts at that.
Well, you get two, I would prefer it in the driveway so you don't have all the runoff around it, which then doesn't.
If you wanna put it in the driveway, fine, it's just a suggestion, sir.
They usually don't end up working after you have the runoff, after the first 6 months of a good rainstorm. The ground around the
You-
drain.
You don't wanna
drops
do
off
it,
6
that's
to
fine.
10 inches, and then it
I have
doesn't-
mine off the driveway, that's fine, whatever you want,
Good enough.
that's okay.
We'll leave it be as.
We'll leave it
planned.
alone.
Okay.
You don't wanna do it, that's okay.
Do we see anything else that needs to be altered?
Nope,
or-
everything else looks fine to me.
I don't.
Okay, so,
Yep.
Brooke, what do you say? Did you find
Yeah,
anything?
no, I didn't, there weren't really any, too many special conditions, I think they don't need a variance, because they're outside the 65. Single-family dwelling, we get the conservation post, they've already got that. Silt fencing,
We're
stuff
gonna
like, yep,
post at the 65?
yep, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
Looks like they're only doing one.
Posts. So, no, we should have, I think we've got, how many posts?
There should
did
be
I-
6 posts, I
Yeah, there
believe
should
I
be
put
6.
on there. I only labeled one.
Okay.
Oh,
the
okay,
annotation.
the same, yep,
Yeah.
because we got 6 in the
Doing
order,
6.
yep.
Yeah, I believe there are
Yeah, I
5 or
wrote
6
this-
on
this
there.
is stuff we talked
I don't
about
know the
this
precise
before.
number.
Contractor
Change
wants
that
to
to
say
6
something.
and 65.
So
He's over
Yep.
there in the back.
that would be
Yes.
in the conditions.
Yep,
It's on.
yep, I changed it last time, we talked about that last time, I think you looked at these. Yep,
I'm okay with this.
yep.
He wants to say something.
Do you have something more, sir?
Yeah, so in place of those posts, they kind of look out of place, would we do a split rail fence and put on top of the split rail fence, we put the
Well, if they put the sign on the split rail
So you
fence,
put the little signs on the post,
tops of, yeah, the split
Yeah.
rail fence. It just
Providing
looks
that-
better
yeah,
providing that,
than
that
5 or
fence
6
is
just random
cedar.
posts in the backyard.
yeah,
Kinda
Right,
go right
right.
along the 65-foot
The-
mark, and then we'll never be in
treated?
here like the last group was.
As long as the posts are pressure treated,
Yeah.
I don't have
Yeah.
a problem, PT.
Yeah.
Pressure treated posts
BT or cedar.
or cedar.
Okay,
Either way.
that
They're
should
making
suffice.
that's good.
They're
Good
making
idea.
Make
these
sure
out
that
of
the
plastic.
fence is right in line so that the post will be,
Yeah,
your
we'll
signs
follow
will
the
be accurate.
65-foot.
so just
Works
follow
for us.
65, yeah, perfect.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman? The only question I have is that a lot of these fences people are putting in now are plastic. Is that gonna be?
No, not
Problem.
plastic.
No, it'd be a wood split rail
I'm
fence.
sorry, I can't see you hiding behind them.
It would be a wood
It's the
split
split
rail
rail.
fence.
A wood split rail, okay.
okay, there. So, any other questions?
Make a note of
Anybody else? Okay. Let's close the hearing?
All right, so I'll change that in
that.
the
Motion,
order.
we close the hearing for Lot 6 Godfrey Circle, DEP 126564.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded. So close the
split rail
hearing
fence.
for 6 Godfrey Circle, DEP 126-564. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass unanimous.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Need a motion to approve for the,
Do we have any amendments on that? No.
well, you just said
well-
the wood fence.
Well,
That's just,
but I'll just change, I
Just put it on the
guess I
drawing.
could just change it in the conditions, I had it on special
She'll
conditions.
put it in the order of conditions.
Yeah, yeah,
She puts it in the order of
because
conditions.
we had added, I think you looked at those last time, we had a couple other things, like 6 posts and all that stuff, yeah. All right, I think you're good,
All right, thank you very much.
thank you.
thanks.
See, you did
Good
get two in the
presentation.
same.
Well, it went easy for you today, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
That equals a good night.
Are we missing a
Thank you, Steve.
signature, aren't we?
Yeah, I'll sign it. I don't like to jump the gun on the chairman.
There you go, you can send that back again.
All right.
Here's another one.
Oh, thank you.
I sometimes keep one for a while. Well, these are envelopes, that's cheap.
This one's,
It was only $77. You could- No, we need to, you need to
There you
get
go.
the $1,000 filing fees, not the $77.
Yeah, good luck.
Okay, let's go back to our items which are to the
COCs?
COC
COCs, yeah.
request.
And that is, okay, 28 South Main Street,
We might as well do that one first.
COC request. Find that was all set? Can you look at today?
You guys?
Yes,
yeah, we took our photo,
We're
we
good
took
with
our
that.
pictures today, so
Yep.
we'll set those on the file.
this is for the boardwalk.
Yeah.
That went over the Blue Bog.
Yeah, got all the pictures.
So when we vote on that?
Chairman's pleasure.
I don't know if I don't think you have to say anything.
Sweet.
I thought we were, oh, we were good. I mean, we went and saw it today.
it, don't worry. There's been way too many years since tonight, we're sorry.
Yeah, we're kinda losing
We're
it.
getting carried away signing all these things.
Yeah, the
We
early
didn't have
one
any
got to
problem.
me.
Motion to approve COC.
Yep.
Motion to approve COC.
Did
Yeah.
you see it?
Huh? Yeah, I saw it. Looks
Why
good,
don't you
no
make it-
problem.
you
I
make
took
the
the
motion. I
photographs,
didn't see
everything's
it.
done. It's all the photographs are in the folder.
Yep.
Why don't you make that motion then? I didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
Second it.
I make a motion to accept the, COC on 28 South Main Street, Carver.
I'll second that.
So moved and seconded to issue a COC for 28 South Main Street. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Any opposed? Pass unanimous and
End of story. There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, I'll record that for you.
Take care. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
okay. Next one, 32 Bow Street.
What about 3? Walworth.
Oh, 3 Walrus, that's the,
Last.
Oh, it's last?
Yes.
We're going down the
that's
list.
the wall.
I'm going down the list.
Oh, you're on the wrong page.
Too much.
No, no.
Yeah, you are.
He's got a different, oh,
No,
yeah,
it's not.
that's
You're
right.
on the front, it's gotta be on the, you're
Oh,
on
the
front.
site visits were in different order, I think.
Site visit, she had backwards.
I'm following the order.
Yes, but we
On-
skipped ahead, come back.
We're on the
Front's
COC
different than-
request.
All right,
I'm going to
all right, so we're going to the front page. Here we go.
Sign that first.
These are like the children.
Put $100 bill in.
The little boys.
Yeah, we're getting a little goofy here.
These are the children that I never had.
It's been a long day. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Too many site visits today, too many
Okay.
site visits
Oh,
in one
man,
day.
how many we hit today?
Makes you
Hey,
slap happy.
14.
Yeah, we hit a lot. Too bad Alan wasn't with us.
Site
Been
visit on
nice
a
to see that.
Saturday, that sucks. Whoops.
Could have used that thing of his, you know, to go driving around on.
I would've brought it too.
What's that?
Jean likes it so much, she wants me to buy a second one.
Yeah, I
What's
could
that?
use one of those.
The cigarette?
All right,
Oh,
let's go with this thing.
Okay, next item. Oh, now we voted on that? For-
We did.
for-
that was a COC, yep.
Okay.
So Walrit was the next one, right?
COC request for 3 Walworth Lane.
No.
No, 32 Bow Street.
Oh,
Oh, I thought we, okay. It's okay.
I'm so confused.
All right.
All right,
32
we're
Bow
getting
Street.
late here.
We, okay.
We went and saw that today, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah, no problem there.
I make a motion, we approve, the issue of COC for 32 Bow Street, DEP 126541.
Second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to issue the COC for 32 Bow Street. Mark Walker. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass.
I was looking,
These are easy, I love these.
I'm on the back page looking for
You're
the,
looking at site visits.
looking for the SE number, and it wasn't on the,
Oh, no, see, we write down the site visits now, but those aren't necessarily in the same order as we put them on the agenda,
Much confusion.
okay.
right?
There we go. We need one more signature on there.
Yeah.
Okay, there's
Okay,
a couple things in here. Whoops, all right.
let's do number
Which
3.
is 3 Walworth Lane.
Yeah, that was for the after-the-fact wall, and then the cutting of the trees we let her do, and then she
She
planted
did a
some new
nice
trees.
job. It
She
looked
very
real
nice
nice,
job,
yeah.
yeah.
I-
The wall
I
looks
agree.
great.
She replanted
You
and
may never have
everything.
gone to that one, did you? go to
Nice
that? I
job.
don't think you were on the commission then.
Okay, so, need a motion to approve the COC request.
I make a motion to approve the COC request on 3 Walrit Lane, DEP number SE 126-540.
Second.
Need a second, please?
It's been moved and seconded to issue the COC request for 3 Walworth Lane. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pass unanimous.
Done.
Easy.
That's it for today.
There we go.
No, we gotta do the minutes.
Oh, you do have to read the minutes, yep.
There you go.
We did the minutes.
No.
I read them.
Yeah, but you didn't vote on them or anything, did you?
Now, leave it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you can take that one, I'm sorry. I like to hang on to a couple for a while. You take
All
that.
right, so what do I have,
God,
Godfrey?
You wanna leave Godfrey?
Are those all Godfrey circles?
This is the other one.
That's
Oh, got it.
I've got a million plans, I end up throwing a lot of these, I don't ask for so many plans, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's good.
Okay.
What, do you save those for burning for
that?
fuel in the winter time? Winter fuel?
Oh, you want with this one?
For a while, I was passing them out to white back for the kids to throw on the back.
Good, they make nice plans, actually, right?
Big sheets of paper. But, he said they weren't interested anymore. I put a whole batch in the restoration, in the paper recycling trailer, dumpster out there.
Yeah, but did you, I was at the meeting the other night with the selectmen. Did you hear what they were talking about?
you were?
With recycle?
At
Yeah.
this, why?
The other night, well, the guy said, there's no sense in recycling because China won't take our paper anymore because it's too contaminated. And then the question was asked, so why do we separate it? And he goes, I don't know.
Yeah,
Jim,
I-
the
I
selectmen
know
said
I'm
they
on-
don't, I don't know.
I know I'm on television, but that's exactly what he said.
The selectmen said, I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter.
That's
Because
it
they're
all
not
to the
ta-
White House.
It all ends up in the same landfill.
that's right.
Right.
They don't separate it.
There's
They-
no-
it-
there's no
they-
market for it.
China considers it contaminated.
So why do they make the people do it then?
I don't know.
It's
I
kind of
don't
weird,
know.
isn't it?
And I separate it and bring it down there, and they put it all in the same hole.
Oh, did CMAS ever separate this?
I
At
separate
first?
it and
Didn't
bring it
CMAS
down.
used to separate it, Jim? Did they?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but
it's-
if there's oil or anything, hairspray, anything in it, they won't take it, period.
not only that, when they can't pick up the trailer fast enough, the
It gets
plastics,
wet.
glass and so on and so forth, then they tell you to put that stuff in the paper trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they throw it all in the same hole anyhow. I don't get it, but,
We'll see.
all right. I'm
You're
a
right, so it
big
all
rec-
goes to the same landfill.
Yeah, and I've been a big
We should take
recycler
carbon.
for years.
No.
Jeez. All right.
Okay, let's look at these minutes.
So
All right.
and getting rid of
I already
the
read 'em.
plastic bags and chemicals and stuff. You know, I mean, it's kind of.
Well, I was waiting for everybody to show up tonight. What do I do with them? Yeah, they are.
This was the, God, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he get all pissed off. Oh, yeah. I'll say it on tape. I shouldn't say it on tape. So the builder for Godfrey Circle, the guy was here, in the last time he got kind of pissed off. And when we see it for about 2 days. So Kevin went out to do the perk test, you know, said, "Perk's a pain in the ass. She should have backed me up in that last meeting."
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, it's not my job to back him up.
Do you want to take these and put
Yeah.
them in the file?
Yeah,
All of them?
yeah. Hey, where did he go? He sat here for a while.
Yeah, he's saying everything on there was pre-existing.
Do you remember that?
How you
Deck
gonna
was
prove
there,
it
I used to
wasn't?
work for Rain, the deck was
That's why I
there.
take.
It was there?
Yeah, I used to work for her, and they had, her son got married out there on the deck, like,
Oh,
Yeah.
That
jeez.
walkway is new.
I don't
Oh, yeah, the
remember.
walkway.
there wasn't a walkway.
Yeah.
no.
A deck like that?
Yeah,
Right
that
on the
deck was
water.
there. That deck was there when we went and looked. The reason you
I
don't remember
the
it.
deck being
Yeah,
there.
there
but
was.
Yeah, it wasn't,
But
it
I don't
didn't have
remember
the
the trees
posts.
being cut
Let me
down
see.
there.
I don't remember it being as
Didn't have the
big,
huge posts on the
Yeah.
We didn't have anything on the deck yet.
and he put this in that.
There was nothing on, it was, yeah,
That was
that
not
wasn't
there.
there, and
Okay,
I,
the walkway wasn't.
there was just a deck,
A
like,
flat deck?
flat deck.
So there weren't posts though holding it? That
Might
looked
have
pretty
picked it up
new.
and leveled it out a little.
It looked new to me, and then also the sand looked like it was new.
Oh, all the sand was
They
new,
were
yeah.
very clever guys.
Yeah.
See, does that sand look like it was just put there? I mean, I
No.
don't know. You
No.
know.
We'll, we'll deal with it as it
Well,
comes
I
back
think
with
we're
its
gonna
own
have to talk
stuff.
to Savory about that, because I think, I know he had the Google Earth thing, but he also,
I bet
I think
somebody had
Savory
to,
also took pictures maybe one of the days when we were out there.
We're gonna have to get Savory a submarine so he can stay off the shore and photograph it.
Well,
I
I
know.
think Savory took pictures of that
I know he did.
from his boat, and I think he did the same with
From his
Pine
boat.
Ridge. Yeah, he did the same with.
You know
Pine
what,
Well-
that might be a different deck, because from what I remember in my head, the deck, you could walk right out. She used to have a party boat.
Oh, so it was a dock,
Rain,
really?
And there was a dock, the deck was
Yeah.
attached to the dock
docks
kinda,
were
so
there,
all
but
that
they
Oh,
created
no,
sand-
that's separate. That was separate from
Yeah.
the deck, the dock, I mean.
The dock was separate from the deck, but I believe they touched, so you could just
I-
walk.
This
I-
was a
I
ways
was looking
away.
at that deck. That deck is brand new.
It
When
looks-
we went for that walk, the docks were still on land. They weren't put in yet.
I do not remember that deck when we saw the new
I
stone
remember
walkway.
there being a deck there, but I don't know that it was
That's
this.
I don't know
brand
if
new.
it was this
That thing's
deck.
brand new.
Yeah, I don't think it was that
It's
elaborate.
got 6x6 posts as footings,
Well, whatever.
or 8x8s, I'm sorry.
But he's never gonna admit it. He's
Well-
already saying it's pre-existing.
Anyway, how do we find the minutes? In good shape?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes for the June 20th, 2018 meeting
As written,
as written.
I'll second that.
okay? Moved, been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of June 28th, June 20th, 2018, as written. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed unanimous.
Make a motion to adjourn?
No, I have more to talk. Go ahead. I'll second the motion.
Those, you wanna keep those, right? Okay.
Okay, moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Adjourned.
Hello.
Here, this.